Hot. Hello friends, welcome to the kitchen throne at Birch House. Before I go any further, I want to say that there are huge spoilers in this little video about the Woolens Nosh sock advent and about the Passiondale tea advent calendar. So let's start with the tea. Today's tea, it's day 5 for me today. Twining's English breakfast tea, a fave of mine, and I had a pop with lunch, so the double caffeine today should be interesting around 4 p.m. So that'll be fun too. Gonna bring my sock out. Gonna bring my sock out in a second. I realized that in the last video I made, you couldn't see what the hell I was doing down here. So I stepped back a little bit and hopefully you can see what I'm knitting now. I'm getting ready to do the 5th stripe on my Woolens Nosh sock. I did the orangey reddy last time, and then day before yesterday's color was pink, which I started getting very confused about that. I really like the blue and the orange together. The pink kind of threw me for a loop. And now that I have this great hunter green here, I'm even more curious about the pink. I did remember the little card this time. This is Targhee wool, a superwash fingering weight. And the name of the skein is Complimentary Cocktails. And that didn't answer any questions for me about the pink. I've had pink drinks before. I drink a lot of pink drinks actually, but I'm really not getting the pink yet. But we shall further on and we'll see what the next color is, and maybe that will make me happier. Not that I'm not perfectly delighted with this, because this is fun as shit. I just don't really understand. Of course, I'm not a dyer either. I don't dye wool. I do some colorful things in my life. I make a lot of quilts. These are probably not colors I put together in a quilt. But colors always surprise me once things start pulling together, and sometimes if you stand back from it a little bit, both physically and in a sense of time as well, things just come together and make more sense. And I love seeing what other artists do with color. It's one of the reasons why I like self-striping yarn so much, because I love seeing what other people are doing with color. One thing I should have mentioned last time, lest you think that there is only one sock's worth of yarn in this adorable little bag that comes with the advent, there's another central pull ball in here that can come out the other side of the bag. And when the bag is received, the yarn is already sticking out of the little corners so that you don't have to fish around in there and accidentally see the surprise colors of the stripes. I shoved mine back down in there because I know I'm only doing one sock at a time. If I were doing 2 socks at a time, then I would be knitting both of them. But I wasn't sure if I could take the time to sit down and knit a certain number of rows on a sock every day. And I didn't want to double that. And so far I'm doing really well because I've kept up, and I'm really, really pleased about that. And I'm so excited always to see the next color. I don't think that I will get behind on this. I think it'll be really good. Oh, new color. New color is coming. And I kind of love it a lot. I think this is gonna look fabulous. One of the things that I've realized knitting this sock is that the time for the heel comes a lot faster than I often expect for a sock. My go-to sock heel in my sock recipe is Kat Vordy's sweet tomato heel. I don't want to do a sweet tomato heel for this sock. because I want to use, look at this green that's coming up, very exciting. I don't want to use the sweet tomato heel because I'm not going to use the striped yarn for the heel. I'm going to use the mini skein of gray that came with. And the sweet tomato heel is not one of those beautiful angled short row heels that looks super perfect. It's a little, I hesitate to use the word wonky, but it's done in wedges. And I usually do 2 wedges. And it just leaves the heel shaped differently than the shape that I want the heel on this to be. So my first thought, upon realizing that I didn't want to use the sweet tomato heel, was to use an afterthought heel, easy peasy, right? The thing about an afterthought heel though is I put a gusset on the bottom of my sock because I need extra space through the heel to get a handmade sock onto my foot. An afterthought heel would not have the same number of stitches on my front and back needle to be able to do an afterthought heel really tidily in there. Because after I do the heel, I do decreases then to get back down to almost the same number of stitches that I have in my foot. I just don't want to do the math for that. So I'm looking for another short row heel. I tried the Fish Lips Kiss heel because that seems very popular on the internet. Not a great fan of it. I didn't like having to learn new stitches. And I'm not a big fan of the look of it. I should maybe block those socks before I make that decision. But I really want just a simple, regular, tried through time short row heel. Is it a German short row maybe? Should I be looking at German short row? I know I've done German short rows in the past, but I don't really remember them. Is that the one where you pull the yarn to the back and essentially knit twice into the one stitch? Are those German short rows? And I remember back in the aughts, a lot of people were doing Japanese short rows. I think those involved safety pins in some way. What do you use? Do you do short row heels? Tell me what you do for your short row heels. I want just an easy that looks fine and doesn't leave holes, but doesn't leave big seams either. Not looking for big seams either. So I'll do a little bit of research and I'll let you know what I find out. Until then, I'm going to finish my little green stripe because that's going to be really pretty. I'm going to drink some more caffeine. So I should be able to knit this really fast, right? Let's see. Coming up on the gray again. And if these colors are cocktail inspired, this new one is definitely the Apple Teeny, for sure. Don't know what the dark green one would be. The pink is, well, mine are going to be pink champagne, duh. Maybe this one is Long Island iced tea? And then this is one of those crazy exotic blue martini drinks that I only get when we go to hotels maybe, or something like that. So I'll finish up this last row. I feel like my knitting time was very short this afternoon. And I'll take my caffeine-laden tea back to the sewing room. Thanks for hanging out with me. This was totally fun. And I'll be back in a couple of days and my sock will be a little longer and a little brighter and probably a little happier. And I'll see you then. Cheers, friends. Hot, 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 hot.